Hello, and welcome to Minecraft, a game that I've been playing for most of my life, but I've never completed it. So, with this playthrough, we're gonna try to complete Minecraft, and by that I mean getting all of the advancements. So let's go ahead and give it a go. Now, what should you name your world in Minecraft? There are many philosophies on what you should name your world, but your world is permanent. It'll stay there forever, unless you go on to hardcore mode. Then you can only go as long as you can live. But I find that you can rename your world, so therefore it's better to just name the world after today. So then you can remember that today is the day that you started that world. Know what I mean? But anyway, you can also choose difficulty. We're going hard mode, because I usually play on hardcore, and no commands, none of this stuff over here, no bonus chests. Of course we want structures, like villages and shipwrecks. How else will we get our loot? And our end of game stuff. But anyway, let's start. It loads quickly on my PC because I have an SSD, which is very nice. This is new. I've never seen this bush before. Firefly bush. I might keep that. There are now these leaf litters all around. My frames per second are tanking right now. I'm not sure why. Maybe it looks fine though. Always want to gather wood as your first thing in Minecraft. I'm sure you already know that. Everyone knows that. What kind of wood should you gather? Pretty much any kind of wood. You gotta get one that you think looks nice though, if you're gonna build stuff out of it. So you think oak looks nice, build out of oak. You think birch looks nice, build out of birch. Or spruce, or dark oak. And then the rest you can just use to craft with. No harm in getting extra wood. And then of course you need to make materials. Crafting bench is probably the best material you can make in Minecraft, because it's really useful. And these are your basic tools that everyone should get. Pickaxe, till or hoe, shovel, and axe. And if you're feeling fancy, a sword. Just so you can defend yourself. Now I have laid it out so that I can just scroll to all of my weapons in a row and get them that way. 'Cause I don't use the numbers, I just scroll. Sugarcane will be very useful later on for making books. But we don't need to worry about that right now. This music is nice, isn't it? Haven't seen this before. That's new. Toppled over birch trees. So where should we build our base? Preferably somewhere flat and somewhere close to the ocean. And also close to, hopefully, Over there looks nice. Close to a good-sized wall of mountain. Because we're going to be digging into that mountain for our first base. That over there, that's a little too close to the ocean. This over here is nice and flat. And right against the wall right there. Pretty much right against it. I'm gonna be leveling. It's easiest to build, or rather dig, your first house into the side of the mountain. Look, there's iron. We can't get that yet though. Have to get stone to get iron. But it's best to build into a mountain because you know that there's going to be a lot of room above you, and also you don't have to spend as much time building the walls and the ceiling. There's coal. Good for torches. Coal you can get with wood too. It's just iron that wants to be stubborn. Coal will give you little experience bubbles, and experience will be useful much later on. But right now let's make a stone pickaxe so this doesn't take as long. There it is. We have 2 raw iron, and I like to wait until I have at least 8 iron before making anything, because 1 piece of coal can burn 8 iron, or 8 of anything really. Now we have to decide which doors look better. Do you like that door better, or that door? I like that one better because I can see through it. See the little window? And then you make little pressure plates. You only put the pressure plates on the inside, that way no monsters can sneak in. Typically I want the starting house to be 4x4 on the inside, and that can go up to 4x4x4. So now that we have plenty of coal, let's make plenty of torches. So you get 4 torches per coal, so 16 coal will always make you 64 torches. Now let's close up all this that we don't need anymore. So you see it's 4 that way, 4 that way, and now it's going to be 4 that way. You don't have to close it all up, I'm just wanting to make it all neat and tidy. This is diorite, which is, it doesn't have any inherent value in the game. It's only for making things look nice. Much like stone, except stone actually has a lot of uses. I guess I mean like pure stone in its uncobbled form. See how much faster that is, that stone pickaxe? Just wait till you see how fast an iron one is. Now we make some chests so we can store everything. That's for general stuff, and then this next one is for stone and dirt. We'll put it over here because I'll make the mine right here. Keeping everything inside is a good idea because then the monsters that spawn outside can't get to you. Now we store everything that we don't need in here for now. All the semi-valuable stuff goes in there. And one chest for stone, one chest for everything else. And then we make a furnace. Something you also need, a furnace, along with your crafting table. And we can make this area look a little nicer before nighttime. Maybe plant some seeds, if we can find any. We got 1, 2. Now we can make a tiny little farm right here. Water source blocks, which are what this is, will always give you 4 dirt blocks worth of water land. I mean, what's it called? It's called farmland. Moist farmland. You get 4 blocks of moist farmland per water source block, and that's in a whole circle, but we'll get into more of that later. And now, basically what we want to do is we want to mine down as far as it'll go. So all the way to the bottom layer. Meanwhile, we want to keep things well lit on our way. And hopefully there won't be too much water to block up. But if you need to block up water, you can do it like this, like so. Don't worry too much about using all your stone on these things, or dirt, or whatever else, because you'll be getting plenty more. I'm gonna make sure to get every single little source block of water. And a source block is basically just where the water spawns from. This is another kind of stone, andesite. I like andesite more than diorite because it's, I don't know, it's a more neutral color. But again, it's also more for aesthetic purposes than anything else. I'm wanting to keep these torches at an equal distance to each other. Again, just to be neat. So like every 4 down is a torch. You can put it on either side of the wall, you can make it alternating sides of the wall if you want to. That's what I usually do, but it's a little more chaotic when I do it that way. Of course, you could always go and find a cave out there in the overworld. I just find this a lot both easier and safer to do this way. And you've got to make sure that you bring a lot of stone pickaxes with you. Here's a hot tip. If you push F3, I believe, it'll show you F3 and H or something like that. It'll show you a lot more stuff. Hold on, I've got to find the right combination. Well, I'll find it later and then I'll tell you. Ignore me. And also ignore all that noise in the background. Someone's watching the television. It's in another room, but it's really loud. I like to keep some raw iron on me right there, just because you never know when you'll run into it. And then it can just go straight into your inventory, just like copper. Speaking of things that are neat but useless, copper. You get tons and tons of copper, but it's really just used for aesthetic purposes. The only real use for copper is to make a lightning rod in order to catch lightning if you're in a storm. And storms don't happen that often. They happen enough for you to maybe need a lightning rod, but it's better to just build your stuff out of things that don't catch on fire. But if you do catch on fire, if you do like that aesthetic of wood and stuff, then lightning rods are probably good for you. They only cost 3 copper. And you get probably 3 or 4 copper just on the regular per little ore of copper you can find in the earth. Now, one thing I'm keeping track of by pushing F3 is I'm keeping track of how high I am in the world. Right now I'm at height level 41, and it goes down to minus 59. And some ores spawn better at certain heights in the world. Like, with iron, you'll find a lot more iron at level 16. So that's really where we want to go to, is 16 at least, to find lots of iron, and then we'll be able to mine very efficiently, much more efficiently. And then, oh, we found a cave. Should be interesting. Could be anything trying to kill me in here. But I'm just gonna keep this staircase the same while blocking up the path for the monsters so that they don't get me. Just like that, the threats are avoided. On hardcore, it's much better to avoid threats than to let them come after you, and then find the situation to get out of it. We can get into hardcore if I ever start up a hardcore world on this channel. There's some more iron. Don't get too excited yet, we're not at that iron level. Oh. Oh. Now I'm in a pickle. Need to find a way out of here. And get back up there before something kills me. Always be careful of falling down your own mine shaft. You never know when a hole will open up in the earth. This iron we saw was floating above something, so just crouch and walk into it, and then you'll get it. Probably. There's a chance that you won't get it. If a monster can't get to you, then you don't have to board up your whole staircase. But if you don't want to fall, then you might want to do it anyway. I'm building this 4 wide, or rather 2 wide and 4 across. 4 across because I don't want to hit my head when I come back up this thing. I want plenty of headroom. Maximum headroom, if you would. From that fall I took some damage, and the only way to recover from it is to eat something. And you've got to make sure that whatever you eat, it fills your belly up a really good amount. Because the more full your belly is, the faster your health comes back. But we'll get into all that later. Of course, you could also explore this huge, massive cave filled with monsters if you're more brave, but I'm taking the safe approach. We have 6 iron, so that's enough to make a bucket, and that's something you always want to keep on you, is a bucket full of water. You never know when you'll run into lava or when you want to scale a mountain with water. Oh, redstone. Redstone you can only mine with iron, so it's not that lucky for us to run into it, but it's always nice to see. We can hit it at least. Whenever you hit redstone, it makes a nice little glow, which is a little tougher to see when there's a torch right there. There's that music again. This game now has about over 100 or 200 tracks now. Isn't that nuts? They just keep adding more of them. I heard that they just added 5 more. Or that they're adding 5 more in the upcoming update. This is my favorite kind of stone. It's cobbled deep slate. You can make all sorts of stuff with that. That all looks very nice. We'll get into that eventually. All these things will eventually do. Why can't we do them now? We don't have the resources. Deep slate was not always here. They updated the game to make the world go much deeper, and then with that came deep slate. So now we're at 4, and deep slate starts at 8. The height of 8. So now at 16, we're gonna start our iron farm, or rather iron mine. Iron farm is a very different thing that we'll get into later, but basically wanna go 2 blocks, and then put a torch, and then go 5 blocks out. And make sure mobs can't get you. Always want to make sure you can't die. But basically this will make sure that we can get as many resources as possible while making an efficient mine. About to run out of stone pickaxes. Sometimes very good materials are hidden behind just mounds of dirt in the ground, so it can be a very good idea to mine up any mound of dirt you see when you're this far underground. Especially when they get in your way like that. There's a cave noise. These cave noises These cave noises pretty much just say that some big cave is near you. They all sound creepy though, as if there's something more ominous. And we just ran into gold. That's another thing you can only get with iron. And gold is very useful. Very, very useful, but only for like clocks and railroads. Apples too, but we'll get into all food stuff. That could be its own whole episode, is all food stuff. If you feel like one of these mines is running dry, you can try tunneling in the other direction. Who knows how much iron is over there? Apparently here it's none. Now we've got to run all the way back upstairs. It's gonna look terrible because you have to just keep jumping all this way. I'm used to zooming in on Optifine. Optifine is a mod that just improves how well the game runs. But you can also zoom in on it. I'll get one more this time. And now it's daytime, so we can come out here, look at the world, check on our plants. Maybe plant a few more. And just so that we can get those resources, I'm gonna cook up all our iron. Cooking up one piece of iron takes about 8 seconds, and that's gonna be the way it is for about anything you cook up. You can also make other kinds of furnaces that cook ores faster or cooks food faster, but you can't make one that cooks everything faster. You can make more furnaces, however. That can split the time in half, or even to a third. First tool, bucket. You need a bucket. Even more than you need an iron pickaxe, you need a bucket. Get that water. There's a nice little deep underwater cave right there. But keep that bucket right there. Gotta get more wood. You never want to run out of wood. Here's another kind, is acacia. All these trees grow very differently. Some of them are a little annoying to take out. Like acacia, that can grow in these weird zigzag patterns. Like that up there. Only a couple kinds of trees drop apples. And those are primarily like the oak and dark oak trees that drop apples. All other kinds just drop wood for you, which is useful, but it's not an apple. You can't eat that. So now we have iron, so now that I should make more stone tools just in case. Just in case my shovel breaks, which it likely will. But now we can get stuff like gold and redstone. Now that we have an iron pickaxe, we can also get diamonds with it. So it's very, very useful. But I'm gonna be a bit conservative with how I use it, just so that I can save it up for important stuff. There's that gold, put it right there. There's a zombie. You can tell because it's groaning right in your ears, like it's groaning in my ears too. I'm gonna dig this out. Something's gotta be buried under all this. See, it broke, but I had the other shovel. Aha! Sometimes you will find nothing when you're digging out all the dirt like this, but I'd still say it's worth it. Just for that one time you do find something valuable. Looks like the valuable thing here was diorite, which I don't know how valuable that is. Maybe if you really like diorite. There's iron, finally. Now the question is how much iron, because it can spawn in up to a chunk of 4 it can go from a chunk of 1 iron to a chunk of 8 iron, or even 10 in some cases. And then sometimes you get iron veins that are even longer. But we got a good 8 iron out of that. That's what you want to see. Now it's back to digging forever until we find the next bit of iron. I want to keep these areas well lit so that nothing spawns in here. Because it doesn't really matter how wide the corridor is, something bad can spawn in there. do this for hours, just mining like this. And I have done this for hours. There's more copper. Copper can also make a telescope, so I suppose that's neat. There's gravel. Gravel might have better stuff behind it, but our shovel's just about out. So, gotta make a crafting table right here. You can leave these things everywhere. And I probably will. Gravel, you can get flint, and you can combine flint with iron to make flint and steel, and then you can start burning everything that you see. But I don't typically make flint and steel until I really need it. Now why would you need something that can burn everything down? We'll see later. Well, it looks like we got nothing from that too. Don't worry, we at least have all that gravel. But with gravel you can make stuff. With anything you gather you can make something out of it. Don't be too discouraged by finding nothing. There's dirt. Wanna bet that there's something behind that? I'm gonna bet that there's one thing behind all this dirt. Can't say what it'll be though. Oh yeah, these tools have durability, and so durability is like one tick of durability is one block it can mine. So a shovel is the same as a pickaxe for durability, so it's 131 blocks, which sounds like a lot, but stuff stacks to 64. And as you can see, I have many piles of 64 things right now. So it doesn't really last that long. And nothing again. One day there'll be something, then I'll be like, I told you there'd be something, but today is not that day. Well, now there's gravel right in our path. It's like it wants me to dig it out. music. Sometimes you just get lost in listening to all that music. It only plays frequently enough for you to get sucked in. More gravel. How about that? So much dirt and gravel. This is more than I typically see, all in one place. Aha. Now we have granite, or rather granite as some people say. It's the same as andesite and diorite, it's just red. So if you like red, then there you go. Or whatever you call that color. I am gonna come back and dig up all this. Now that I've seen just how far it goes, there might be a cave nearby. Because there's tons of zombie noises happening. Don't be too afraid of the zombies though, we have a wooden sword. With swords, the material you make them out of makes it stronger. So wood isn't that strong a sword, but stone is an okay strength, and then iron is a pretty good strength, and then diamond, which is what we'll get eventually, is a super good sword strength. And then there's one even further beyond that. Well, nothing in that hole again. It's becoming the running joke at this point. Now why am I only digging out 5 blocks on each side? That's because that's as far as your reach goes. And it's more efficient to just go that far and then look somewhere else. I feel like any second now, we're just gonna run into a whole horde of zombies. More noises and more concentrated noises. Either we're about to run into them or they're above us or below us somewhere, and we just can't get to them. Also hearing a slime somewhere in all that noise. Slime is something that we would want to get, but that's for technology that's very much later on. I'm gonna try my hand at this dirt right here, just because it's bugging me. Gravel. Sometimes you get dirt and gravel in the same place. And then it's like, well now, my work is doubled. Gotta dig out all of that. I'll just come back to that later. For now, I'm gonna keep digging down. I'll give this side a try, and I'm gonna keep digging down. There's that cave again. There's iron. Make sure there's nothing up here first. There's like no monsters around here. Where'd they all go? Well, as you can see, you can find iron a whole lot faster if you just look in the caves. However, it's a lot less safe. I don't like doing these cave expeditions just because I like playing it safe. I'm used to playing on hardcore mode. And with that, if you die, then your whole world is gone. There's a creeper, so we really don't want to go that way, but they can sneak up on you, so you gotta keep your eyes out. $24 iron. That should be plenty for getting a lot of stuff. But let's just exhaust these pickaxes we've built. And move over to the iron pickaxe. At one point, when they made the world go all deeper, they changed all of the spawn rates for all of the ores in the earth. So now iron appears a lot less often. At least that's how I find it. That it appears less often. And the thing is, a whole lot of stuff is made of iron in this game. So you'll eventually have to just make an iron farm, whether you like it or not. There's more water, but it doesn't look like it's too much. Mine a whole lot slower underwater. There's more iron, but this is the deep slate variety. Deep slate iron is the same as regular iron, it just looks neater. Looks like deep slate. There's there's versions of every material in deep slate. There's deep slate versions of every material. That's what I was trying to say. I got there eventually. That's a good amount of iron. 5 iron. Just like the golf club. There's more of this. Never mind dirt or... Well, that's quite the sound. Never mind dirt or gravel with the pickaxe. Only mine it with the shovel. Doesn't take more durability away from the pickaxe. It's just a lot faster to mine with the shovel or with your hands. I mean, it's not faster with your hands, it just doesn't take your pickaxe durability away. Do you really want to save that for stone? Same thing with axes. They pretty much just cut wood, and then nothing else. It cuts faster. Here's some lapis lazuli. It's all blue and nice looking, but we won't be using it much except for maybe building stuff. Gotta use the right pickaxe on it, or else you just get nothing from it. We're now at -10, so gotta go another 49, 48 now. That's tough up there. This material over here. Tough I've recently fallen in love with because you can throw it inside of a stone grinder and pretty much make it look all fancy. Used to I thought it was useless, but when I found out you could throw it in the grinder, that I figured out that I really like tough now because of the stuff you can make with it. But you'll all see later. Everything we must leave till later. I kind of feel like there are different tiers of societies in Minecraft. Like right now we're a tier 0 society, because we need to find all the basic resources just to get everything up and running. And then later we'll become a tier 1 society, which is pretty much we get some machines running around, some automatic farms, and then maybe 70 years from now we'll become a tier 2 society, where everything starts to become more and more efficient. So efficient that we barely need humans anymore, just like real life. Everything just keeps breaking. Eventually I'll have to head back to the surface and dump everything in my inventory so that I can have more room to go down. Of course you could build a chest and put it down here, but are you gonna access the chest from down here? Are you gonna probably just wanna take it all back up? That's what I always do. Better to have all your resources in one place. That way you can get whatever you need. Or just whatever you want. Because some things you want but you don't need. And some things you need but you don't want. Like food. Sometimes you need food, but you don't want food. In America, that's slightly different, however. Lots of people want food in America. I don't usually play while talking like this. I usually just listen to stuff, which is probably how a lot of people play. But right now I'm the one that you're listening to, so that's strange, isn't it? There's more lapis lazuli, useless lapis lazuli, only good for making cool blue blocks out of, and also getting some other stuff that we'll talk about later. Everything we'll talk about later, every single thing. -27, we're getting there. We'll get there eventually, sometime this year. I'm gonna head back up. Why not get all of that? Because it might just, there might be too much there for me to carry. You've got to think of these things. You've got to carry just enough to not spill everything on the floor. Because if you can't pick it up, it goes right on the floor. And then if you wait 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, then everything despawns and you can't get it anymore. While we're up here, I'm gonna cook some iron, and then I'm gonna get another iron pickaxe, just cause I wanna get tons of resources. Keep tons of resources. This stuff is slightly more valuable in this chest, so I'm just putting the more valuable stuff in there, and then all of the like dirts and gravels and stones go in there, and then cobblestone goes in here because I get a lot of cobblestone, and then eventually I'll make more chests just for cobbled deep slate, because deep slate can take up a whole lot of inventory space. Gotta get iron shovels and iron pickaxe, and then we can head back down. Can't get wood right now because it's nighttime. At nighttime everything comes out. But what I can do is I can get some sticks, put that coal up there, make those torches, and then throw it into my inventory over there. And then eventually I'll get some wood, cook it up, and then we can make more torches. Because you can cook wood in a furnace, and it'll make, what's it called? Charcoal. And charcoal can be used like regular coal, and make tons of torches or be a good fuel source. I say that charcoal is a better fuel source now, that all of the mining values have changed, as in the ore values of how high you can get them have changed. Charcoal is much more valuable, or rather much more useful, much more readily available than regular wood. Not regular wood, regular coal. You see, my brain train gets there eventually. It just takes a few stops on the way. There's another cave noise. That train noise, that was a cave noise. Sometimes I get train noises in real life, but that one was a cave noise. Got another song creeping in right here. Can you really call it a song if there are no words to it? Or is a song only something... Is a song only something that is sung with words, or can a song be something without words at all? Is it just music at that point? I don't want to say, hey, comment down below, but hey, you can comment if you want to, with what you think music is, or rather what a song is. There goes that, so let's do that. And now we're mining faster, we're mining slightly faster. Isn't that satisfying, being slightly more efficient and faster? And using these rare resources of iron. At some point coming up, we should run into a diamond or two, and diamonds are very valuable. Unlike most other blocks in the game, you cannot replicate a diamond or farm it from somewhere, some enemy or some boss creature. Diamonds are just, you can only mine diamonds. Sometimes you can find a diamond or two in like a late game dungeon, but your primary resource for diamonds will be mining them. And they're less rare at lower levels. So you'll find them the lower you go. And I'll show you a mining technique that I like to do later on, once we get a really good pickaxe. "45, that means we've only got 14 to go, and then this really long video can end, and you can go on with your day doing whatever you want to." Of course, if you're already here and you're watching this long, I guess you have done what you wanted to, because you wouldn't have watched this long if you didn't want to. Thanks for watching, by the way. Right now I'm not playing with Optifine on, mostly just because they haven't put out an Optifine version for the latest version of Minecraft. But usually I play with Optifine on, and that makes the game run a lot better. I have a 160 frames per second monitor, so I can run this game at 120 frames per second on there with Optifine. It's really smooth and nice looking, and you can't look at it that way because the video won't render to that resolution or at that frame rate. At least not how I know how to render videos, which I don't know much of anything about that. I hope you can hear me, by the way. My muffled voice through all this background noise, Minecraft noise. You can hear lava right there. Just hit 59, negative 59, and that was the goal. Now I'm going to show you an advanced trick. If you hit F3 and G, you can see the borders of each chunk. The game loads in chunks of 16 by 16 blocks. Oh, lava. Don't want to mine there. It might be a good idea to find that lava and dig it out, but I'm just going to go up here and start digging. So basically what you want to do is, here's how I do it. I dig up to as far as I can reach, and then I do that for everything along the chunk. Everything along this chunk borderline, and then that'll be a whole chunk dug out, and that'll pretty much guarantee you at least one diamond or two if you dig out a whole chunk worth of stuff. Usually I dig out entire holes of chunks, just massive holes, and just chunks. But that's for when we get a much better pickaxe that can mine a whole lot faster. Right now we just want to get these diamonds, and we're all out of coal. No more coal, no more torches, and now it's time to scavenge these torches that I've already used. If it's daytime, I'm just gonna go up there and get some wood and make some charcoal. And we found a whole lava bed. Well, well, well. I'm gonna look for diamonds along this. Even in survival mode, you want to be careful because you can lose all your stuff that you have on you. Don't want anything to burn up in the lava. Looks like there aren't any diamonds right here. Gotta keep mining. I'm gonna make some of this obsidian so that it can cool down and not burn me up. You should do that too. Make it obsidian so it doesn't burn up your whole life, your whole face and all that. All your items. Lava can be a good light source when it's not burning you up. Oh, we found diamonds. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 diamonds. That's plenty. And now I can go all the way back up and we can end the video on a success. Thank goodness. Finding diamonds is only the beginning of Minecraft. There's many, many more things to be had in this game, and I will show you many of them on this journey to complete the game. That is, if you stick around, which I hope you do. At some point I'm gonna make this a whole staircase, put stairs in it. Now we have lots of iron, we have all this cobbled stuff, we have all this different material stuff, and we have a diamond pickaxe. And it's quite the pickaxe, I'll tell you what. It can mine 1,500 blocks while being unupgraded. Now what do you mean by unupgraded? Well, I mean that you can upgrade it. I'll tell you all about that later on. And look at that. Our wheat has grown, and now I can harvest all of it, or at least a good amount of it. And then get some bread. With bread, we can eat food and put some of this hunger behind us. And then I'm gonna make something else right before we go. This is a composter. It is very, very good for putting tons of materials in there that you just don't want, like all these seeds. But anyway, with that diamond pickaxe gotten, and those little victories we've had, goodbye, and have a very nice day. And all that.